So I posted the Project Thunderbolt video, This Is It, almost exactly 2 years to the day, July 3rd, 2015. And then 6 months after that, after we broke everything in, I posted a video of us doing a variety of tests, dyno tests, took it to the drag strip, some acceleration tests, we weighed it, and got a good idea of some of the performance numbers it could make. But since then, I haven't posted anything on Thunderbolt. Why is that? Well, you know how it is. Sometimes life happens. We had our third child, and let me tell you, she is a wild one. She showed up early, and has just been raising heck ever since. Now I do drive this car often, mainly errands and trips around town, but I do find the time for some fast mountain runs. I go to Cars and Coffee often, and I've gone to Miata's at the Gap at the Tail of the Dragon a few times, which is lots of fun. So that's why I haven't been posting any updates. I didn't think you guys wanted to see me going to Cars and Coffee and things, but maybe you do want to see that. Tell me in the comments below. So I get two big questions about this car often, and the first is, have I made any changes to it? And the answer is no. It's exactly as when we finished it back in July of 2015. I've only done regular maintenance, fluid changes and things, and just tightening bolts and stuff like that. But other than that, I haven't done any racing or anything exciting like that in this car. The second question I get is, what is it like to drive? Well, let's go for a ride and I'll tell you. Okay, if we're going for a ride, I gotta put on my cool sunglasses. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, before we go, I just want to give you an idea of what it's like to own this car after we worked on it so hard and now I get to enjoy it. I wish you all could experience this somehow, but I'll try to describe it the best I can. This is one of those cars that just raises your pulse just thinking about it. I'm sure many of you have cars like that or have owned them in the past. If I'm driving this thing on a Friday and it's Monday, honestly, I'm excited on Monday. I'm excited every day of the week just thinking about driving this thing. That's how much fun it is. Now, I've owned some fun cars over the years, but nothing I've owned or driven delivers the type of experience that this car does. So other than the anticipation of driving this car, the experience really begins when you turn the key. Here we go. All right, when that LS3 roars to life and just starts shaking the car, and the sound, it's overwhelming. It's so much fun. I think the most prominent thing about the driving experience is the sound of the exhaust. I really lucked out with the exhaust. To me, it's like the perfect V8 sound. It's not too loud, it's not crackly, it doesn't drone. I just love it so much, and it's a huge part of the experience of this car is the exhaust sound that's always with you there. So it's probably not a big surprise, but this is a car that could get you in tons of trouble. It effortlessly accelerates with the LS3 in there and is up to, arrest me speeds in no time. I wonder what it would be like to hand the keys to Thunderbolt to my 17-year-old self. I can't imagine it would last more than 5 minutes before something terrible would happen. So job number one in this car is to try not to break any laws and try to stay out of trouble. So another big component of the driving experience is that this car demands your respect and full attention. There's loads of power in a lightweight, short wheelbase car, which means if you're not careful, especially like coming out of turns, if you're too hard on the gas coming out of a turn, I think you could get this thing turned around pretty quick. But I think as long as you understand what you've got and you respect it, you're fine. So this is Thunderbolt's natural environment. Out in the country, out in nature, and flying through those mountain roads. So I get asked about the fuel economy often. I haven't checked it lately, but the last time I did, it was probably a 50-50 mix of city and highway, and I was getting in the low 20s. I think I could do much better if I was on a road trip and just lugging along in 6th gear and could stay out of the gas for more than 5 minutes. I think I could probably get close to 30s or maybe even 30 miles per gallon. I don't know. This thing's like a Prius. So a question I get asked often is, would I do anything differently if I could build this car again? And I have to be honest, there isn't. I love it the way it is. I think it's perfect. I just can't think of anything I would change. So another question I get is, have I had any problems with the car? I haven't had a single problem with it. The only small issue I've had is a faint whine that comes from the differential once it's warmed up. From what I've read, all the Getrag diffs do this to some extent, and I can tell you from the Hellcat I drove a while back, it whined way louder than this one. I've checked the fluid, I've changed the fluid, it looks clean, so everything works fine, so I'm not too worried about it. So a lot of you guys ask me if I'm going to add more power, and that's a good question, and being a gearhead, I think about that all the time. But every time I start to think about that and consider turbocharging, supercharging, I just keep coming back to how simple this car is. And a major strong suit is its simplicity. You just jump in and go. The fact that it's so reliable, that really allows you to focus on the driving experience. So my fear is if I added a turbo or a supercharger, it would complicate things and just make the car less enjoyable to own. So what has crossed my mind is building like an evil twin to Thunderbolt that has, you know, twin turbos and gigantic tires out back and stuff like that. But that's just sort of a fun thought for now. So what are my future plans for this car? Well, they mainly revolve around activities, more so than mods or anything like that. I want to do more. I want to go to faraway places and to car gatherings and stuff. I want to go to a track day. I want to do some quarter-mile drag racing, autocross, things like that. So there's a lot of activities that I want to do, and unfortunately, given everything that's going on in life, I think it's going to be a little while before I get to do those things. It's hard for me to describe a driving experience, but I'll try to describe the different components, and maybe that'll give you an idea. The steering is tight and direct and firm, and I think it's just great. The clutch is smooth and forgiving. It's not a hard clutch that kills your leg going in and out. The shifter is excellent. It just effortlessly goes in between gears. It's one of the things that makes the driving experience really enjoyable in this car. The gas pedal response is just crazy. You just barely lean into it and you're flying down the road. That LS3 525 always has the torque on tap and is just more than willing to just dish it out at all times. I would describe the handling of this car as excellent. Comparing it to other cars I own and have owned in the past, I just couldn't be happier with how it handles. It handles exactly like a well-tuned Miata, but with a ton more power and torque. All right, everybody, that's it for this update on Project Thunderbolt. I just wanted to thank you for the awesome support you've given me over the years on this project, checking out the videos, sharing them with your friends, telling Summit Racing how much you appreciate them helping out. All of that is great stuff, and I love it and appreciate it greatly. So tell me what kind of Thunderbolt updates you would like to see in the future in the comments below, and I'll check them out. So with that said, thanks again, folks. We'll see you next time. Thank you also to Summit Racing for their support and for helping to make these videos possible. If you enjoyed this episode, please let them know on Facebook or Twitter. I'd really appreciate that. For more pictures and details on this build, check out my website at v8mazda.com. Okay, I just had to share this with you guys. I've been hunting for this cow for probably 10 years, and here I found it just alone, hanging out by itself. So I've hitched Thunderbolt up to it, and I'm not sure where I'm gonna take the thing. I don't know. Mexico? I have no idea, honestly. If you have any suggestions, tell me in the comments. But we're hitching this thing up, and we're pulling the bull, baby. Look, I don't want to sound like a coward, but we gotta move out of here before anybody sees us. Udder shot.